speed up your website with these 3 CSS optimization techniques. To do so, we can write CSS that's shorter and efficient. So the first technique is to use shorthand properties whenever possible. We can define several properties inside just one shorthand property, making your code shorter. For example, here I am declaring font size, line height and font family for heading text. But we can use font shorthand property to define all 3 properties at once: the font size, line height and font family. The second way to optimize CSS is using shorter selectors. Not only it makes your CSS shorter, but also makes it efficient. If you have a shorter selector, the browser engine has to check less things to find the element. So use only necessary amount of document hierarchy. Here I need to find all list text inside the navigation bar. So instead of this selector with unnecessary checks, I can simply write navbar li. The third technique is to minify your CSS. Minification means reducing the style sheet file size by removing unnecessary characters like white space and comments. They make the code readable to us, but browser engine does not need those things to read CSS. It only requires correct syntax. So we can safely remove them when we are done writing our CSS. There are a number of tools you can use for minification. One that I use is clean-css. You can download it using npm. Simply type npm I clean-css-cli, which will download the CLI tool so you can minify your CSS from your terminal. Then to use it, type clean-css, then the output file name and path, and the input file path. If the file is in current directory, you can just type the file name and press enter to get your minified CSS. A few things to keep in mind when optimizing with these techniques. When writing shorter selectors, you also need to keep in mind how efficient a specific type of selector is. Take this selector for example. We have an attribute selector which is quite okay, but we can make it a bit more efficient by using a class selector instead of it, because class selectors are more efficient. In fact, class selectors are second most efficient and ID is most efficient one. So always consider a selector's efficiency when using it. Your HTML document size also matters when optimizing CSS. More the number of elements, more checks the browser engine has to do to find an element. Also keep in mind readability of code. You don't have to write code that is unreadable just because it is short and efficient. There needs to be a balance between both. So these are the ways you can optimize your CSS to speed up your website.